Coming up on this episode of the Mario Rosenstock podcast.
Well, I say it at the beginning of the show that you're going to find this not like your normal comedy show. It's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, as can be a Saturday night out for a woman when you're standing at the bar. You've got all dressed up and you're with the girls, and then somebody turns around and goes, "Oi, nice tits." And you just have to recover from that.
Does that happen?
Happens.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, of course, I was aware that women often have to put up with a lot of stuff that men don't have to tolerate when they're on a night out. But to be honest, I had no idea of just how much until I sat down for a chat with my two special guests on this episode of the Mario Rosenstock podcast. Claire Roche and Justine Halpin are stand-up comedians that wanted to start a wider conversation about this issue. But they didn't want to do it in a preachy way, so they put together a stand-up comedy show called Are You Alright Getting Home? They describe it as the show about the ridiculous rituals we must perform just to return safely to our homes after a night out from a woman's perspective. From fake phone calls to keys as weapons and hurried steps as we reach our front door. This goes further into our daily lives as we navigate through harmful gender norms that affect all in society. They put on their first show in Bewley's Theatre a few weeks ago in front of a sold-out crowd, and such was the reception that they're already planning the next ones. Claire and Justine have so much to say about this issue, and I found this a compelling issue and a real eye-opener.
She said, I used to walk across a pub when I was 20 down the country just to get from my table to the toilet, and every fellow would smack me on the arse as I'd walk across. And I was like, how are you about that? And she goes, I've had 7 years of therapy, I'm okay. But my therapist had to point it out to me that it was wrong.
It was like the messaging from your mum at the very start, going, he only pulls your hair when he likes you. And we tell that to little girls that get bullied by boys in the playground. But actually, that's a really toxic message to give to a little girl, because it's like you've done something to make him like you, and now he can do what he wants. He can pull your hair. He can do something that you're not comfortable with because he likes you.
People are starting to talk about the algorithm as if it's part of their personality, which is really disturbing. They're actually saying things like, my algorithm told me the other day, like it's your conscious and your subconscious and your ego, not your algorithm.
My full chat with Claire Roche and Justine Halpin is on the way in just a couple of minutes right after this, because, well, really, this week was all about one thing. Well, it's these days it's all about several things. But Joe Duffy stood down and retired after 26 or 7 years at the helm of Lifeline. 37 years he's been in RTE, 26 years, I think, presenting Liveline. And this week was his last ever episode. And believe me, the vultures are queuing up. The hyenas have gathered in RTE to squabble over the carcass and find out who is going to be up for that very, very coveted Liveline job. The auditions have been going on in earnest. Let's take a quick sneak peek.
Anyway, Michael, that's the way it's been for years.
Yeah. All right,
so,
yeah. Hilarious. Fascinating, sorry.
Constant pain for years.
Sorry,
Michael.
do you mind me asking, why aren't you at work? It's nearly 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I'm 87 years of age.
Oh, here we go again. Boo-hoo, the great unwashed, unable and unwilling to get out of bed and graft a bit, but instead sucking off the state like some sort of parasite when you should be out there pouring concrete for the housing crisis.
I'm disabled, I can't walk.
Oh, get off the cross, will you pinko liberal communist bloodsucker.
Anyway, Ray, it's a chronic condition that I've had for years as well.
Yeah, I know, Tony. But have you tried running?
No, I haven't, Ray, and I wouldn't walk.
I know, but you said nothing about porridge there in the last 5 minutes.
Why would I say something about porridge, Ray?
Because if you were eating porridge and out running, this wouldn't happen.
No, I don't think that would change.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Right, Ray.
Jerry and Don and Bate. Go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, Pascal. I blame the government.
Well, I don't know about that, Jerry. I think they're doing their best to be fair to them.
They seem to have money for everything when they want it and nothing when we need it.
Well, no, I think you'll find they operate on very tight budgets, Jerry.
They're a crowd of scam artists as far as I'm concerned.
No, I wouldn't say that now, Jerry.
Gangsters, the whole lot of them, I tell you. That's what they are.
Jerry.
Do you know what they need? If I'd give them a good kick in the fucking hole.
Now listen, Jerry.
What?
You listen to me for a second, right? You scumbag toe-rag, you.
What?
I have bleeding access to your tax returns, and I won't be afraid to use them and crush you and stick you in a gulag for 15 years, okay?
Take a break.
So then we'll take a little break there. My producer is asking. Thanks, Jerry.
What's going on?
And exclusive comedy on the Mario Rosenstock podcast. Every week, I think it's pretty obvious that Katie Hannon is going to get it. They just got rid of her from her Katie Hannon Up Front with Katie Hannon show, the TV show. So it looks like that's coming down in a way to make way for her to be the next Liveline presenter. She'll be pretty pissed off if she isn't. And listen, my thanks, of course, to you every week for tuning in to the Mario Rosenstock podcast. MarioRosenstock@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with me about anything at all, get in touch with me about the podcast, about characters, comedy, guests that you might like to hear, constructive criticisms, or just, fulsome praise for my amazing podcast. That would be lovely as well. And, Patrick Hawhey as well, my producer as well. He'd love to have his ego fluffed as well. And of course, my special thanks to Deluxe Bathrooms, Ireland's premium bathroom and tile retailer. Their summer sizzler sale is on right now, but it's only on for a couple of more days before it ends. They've got amazing bargains, up to 70% off many of their in-house stuff. If you're dreaming of a bathroom that combines luxury functionality and style, they've got you covered, and at great prices too. Get yourself down to your nearest Deluxe Bathroom store. You'll find them at Dundalk Retail Park or Little Island in Cork, or online at deluxebathrooms.ie. 70% off Europe's biggest brands, bathware, furniture, tiles. The summer sizzler sale. You may have heard it all over the radio on Today FM. Accessories and everything you need to create the bathroom you've always been dreaming about. Okay, thank you to Deluxe Bathrooms for getting involved with us and podcasts in general. So let's meet my guests on this episode of the Mario Rosenstock podcast. Claire Roche and Justine Halpin. Their new stand-up show, Are You All Right Getting Home, has just had a great start, selling out Bewley's Theatre in Dublin, and there are great things ahead for it. We started by chatting about how it all got started.
So I shared with Claire that I was taking a bit of a career break from being a solicitor and a comedian and everything else, and I was going to go solo travelling around Southeast Asia. And I left for the Philippines in the first week of March, around the 3rd of March. Mm-hmm. And when I shared the story, Claire had said to me, I've never
solo travelled as well.
You'd solo travelled as well. You're sharing the story we mentioned of...
I shared some unique stories that happened to me when travelling abroad.
Yeah, and she said to me that I never quite left her mind when I was away, and she was kind of checking in and going, and are you okay, and how are you getting on when I was away? And it turned out that when I was away, I didn't feel quite safe. I was in the middle of the Philippines on my own, and my phone didn't work. And people, men in bars and in tuk-tuks would go, are you alone? And I'd be like, yeah. But I would lie and go, no, my friends are coming down here, but they weren't. And it just really highlighted my vulnerability as a woman on the other side of the world on her own. That I was like, oh my God, if anything was to happen, everybody's a million miles away. Mm-hmm. And that's how kind of the show idea was born when we ended up talking about those circumstances.
And also just, I think... for me as well, like Justine told me what happened to her, and then there was other women on TikTok and online sharing stories at that time. Then we had everything going on a macro scale in terms of just men destroying our world. And I just remember being in the kitchen and my husband was probably like breathing or something. And I was going, okay, I've had enough. This is it.
Don't do that again.
Just don't do that again. But it was just like every which way I kind of turned, I just felt, okay, it's like misogyny, it's war, it's everything. And then it's my friend getting harassed when she's abroad, and it's this girl who's getting followed into a hotel. It was like, enough's enough. Yeah. Like, I've had enough. Like, so the conversation, it's literally all written in our chats on Instagram.
Yeah.
Let's do something.
Yeah. So we just wanted to create a space where we could use the stage and our stage time and our presence to just talk about it. And that's kind of where it came into fruition, because both of us, I think, felt bombarded with everything.
Do you have your own personal experiences, Claire, of
different things that have happened as a woman. Yeah, like when I was in the UK in my 20s, I remember going back to I suppose it's the private quarters where the nurses hang out. It was a male nurse that asked me to come back and play a game of pool. And then we ended up going into his room, thought I was going to listen to some CJ Boland or something like that. And he pushed me on the bed and tried to get on top of me. And despite how tiny I was then, I managed to get away and just ran back to the accommodation that I was staying in. So that's just one story, There's.
Do you know what I find interesting as well? That's obviously a very obvious story.
Yes.
It's the micro stories that are somehow just as interesting.
Yeah.
The ones where it's more nuanced, more subtle. The micro hassling, the micro stalking, the micro.
Yeah, and like women are just getting it left, right and centre. So, in the show, we talk a little bit about dick pics. And my older neighbour was there and she said, I didn't know what that was, Claire. And I was like, do you remember the flashers? It's just the same. That's it. And she goes, oh, I remember those. So, yes, I used to find them hilarious. And I was like, yeah, well, we kind of find them funny too when they're online. But there's just stuff coming at you all the time.
Yeah.
And even today when I was coming up here, I was in a cafe and I was looking at the sandwiches and two men really big guys stood either side of me and I just had to stand away from them. And I said, you're actually right on top of me here. They clearly weren't thought about their space bubbles when they were in primary school. So, it's just that kind of, just give us a bit of space to breathe here, and just be people. Yeah, so lots of different things kind of happened, but nothing's ever affected me more so than the kind of global stuff that's happening in the world right now, and as a woman, like, things happen and you just have to carry on.
I think that's more the thing. Like, when we came up with this idea for the show, I wrote a poem that we opened the show with, and the poem came out of me like word vomit. I don't even remember my hands meeting the keyboard. But when I went through it, it was like the messaging from your mum at the very start going, he only pulls your hair when he likes you. And we tell that to little girls that get bullied by boys in the playground to pacify maybe going, oh no, he only likes you, that's why he's giving you attention and he's pulling your hair. But actually that's a really toxic message to give to a little girl, because it's like you've done something to make him like you and now
he can do what
he can do what he wants. He can pull your hair. He can do something that you're not comfortable with because he likes you. That's a really awful message to give to a little girl. And then throughout the poem,
so sowing the seeds of a kind of a journalistic, misogynist, kind of macho, and bullying and physically aggressive.
And it feeds into the boys will be boys sort of thing. And it's like, no, like we need to separate this. And like if I ever am blessed to have a daughter, I will never say to her, he's pulling your hair because he likes you. But you don't realise that. And I know that our parents said it to us.
But I've said it.
Of course.
I've said it to my daughter.
Yeah.
There you go.
I've said it to my daughter recently. And I know the guy who does it. He's only 12. And, and I grew up exactly with that thought. That's he's trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
See, because he's flirting with you, basically.
Yeah. Well.
Kind of
primitive. But then what does that become?
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So when we speak about the bigger topic, never mind stuff that happened to us physically or whatever, it's societally. These little tiny messages actually grow into much bigger things. Yeah. And we just kind of wanted to, I suppose, break that apart and have.
Do you know the sort of juxtaposition of your show right now in terms of this fairly, the reverse pendulum? The pendulum has come back from 2017, where you had Harvey Weinstein and you had the microscope on what people seem to call toxic masculinity and aggression and rape and all of this, and people being banged to rights for for crimes they had committed, and then the kind of reaction to that, the pendulum coming back, and this culture of Andrew Tate and the manosphere and the toxic masculinity, and then Trump being elected and Trump people like Pete Hegseth and everything, and
The list just goes on.
the list goes on. So they're all their allies there have now come back. So your show is sitting within that context as well.
Absolutely. We are the opposite to that, and we are calling all of that out. And in fact, that's what my neighbour said to me. She's actually an activist and an environmentalist. And she said, you are the voice against all of that now. So really try and use it as much as you can. But we're doing it under the comedic umbrella because we just want to push in very slightly.
I think you're right.
You can't go in and go, this is this and da 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 da.
Because it's preachy.
It's preachy, and you're a feminist and you're this, that, and the other, and like. I don't want any labels or terms being used.
Exactly,
I just want to talk about experiences.
Yeah, and make it entertaining.
And draw people in. So from our show on Saturday night, we've even come up with some more ideas.
So where was your show on Saturday night? Was it
Bewley's Cafe Theatre.
Bewley's, and it was a sold out show. And did you have some reaction to that as well? And
we did, yeah. I think, a lot of women would just come up and go, sure, that stuff all happened. And we kind of take it every day.
Are you saying that people come in with a kind of an acceptance that it happens societally?
Oh, they're just reminded. They are reminded. And then one woman came up to me and said, oh, that bit, Claire, where you're talking about your arse being slapped in a work environment. She said, I used to walk across a pub when I was 20 down the country just to get from my table to the toilet, and every fellow would smack me on the arse as I'd walk across. And I was like, how are you about that? And she goes, oh, I've had 7 years of therapy. I'm okay. But my therapist had to point it out to me that it was wrong.
Yeah.
Couldn't recognise it because I grew up in the 90s and the lad culture was around then as well. So that was a very interesting time where it was almost, you're allowed to do that in a way. It's acceptable. And I mention it in the show that binge drinking for women became hugely popular. We were marketed at, this is perfect opportunity now to get them drinking, get them drunk, and let's see what happens when they are really, really
interesting.
Really
drunk. And that was like the wicked drinks.
All of the pop culture,
Colory drinks.
Teenagers falling over in fields.
Alka Pops, the blue ones.
Alka Pops,
so the vodka wicked ones.
Yeah, wicked. We're wicked.
They were aimed at women.
Aimed at women and teenage girls as well.
Yeah.
Who were starting on their
even in the 80s, there was a primitive version of that. They used to have Satzenbrow, I think.
Ritz.
Ritz, yeah.
Ritz.
A Ritz for the lack.
West Coast
That's
Cooler.
in Cork or Waterford.
West Coast Cooler was the other one.
West Coast Cooler,
There's one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
West Coast Cooler and Shake and Vac.
I'm so allergic
Misogyny
to that
Central.
stuff. Oh my
Do the Shake and Vac and drink your West Coast Cooler. Hopefully you won't get harassed.
Because your house will smell lovely. So, yeah, gosh.
Yeah.
We were going with all of that, but...
no, I know exactly where we're going with all of that. The same place we've been going with. We're bang on track here conversationally.
Yeah.
Don't believe me.
Yeah, so, the show, it really touches in on quite a lot of stuff.
So, I mean, I'm not going to ask the other, did it go down well on
Absolutely, absolutely. And as a result of some of the press we've had before and just the idea of the show, venues were kind of offering us their space when we were looking for a venue. Bewley's just fitted the mark really with us, didn't it?
This is kind of gas. We were worried about selling 60 tickets. And we were like, oh God, Bewley's is grand because Bewley's is just 60. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, we're like, that's grand. It's not 200 or 300. We're not going to be under pressure. We were like, if we sell 40, brilliant.
We're happy.
Great.
It's for charity.
And then we couldn't. There wasn't enough tickets at all. People were coming up going, what about this and what about that? We hadn't got enough and we had to make a cut and be like, no, this is
it.
So it went off way better than we had anticipated.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And you'll go further with it now.
Yes, we got.
What are your plans for it?
Well, we got a call from the Lark Concert Hall out in Balbriggan.
Balbriggan, yeah.
And Brian is the programming director out there, and he absolutely loved the idea. And we're doing a show there in October, so tickets will be online.
That's great. Through the website.
Through the website, through the Lark.ie.
Not through Ticketmaster. Or?
No, I think they do it all through their own.
Through their website, the Lark.ie.
The Lark.ie.
The Lark.ie. Okay.
And again, it's in aid of the Rape Crisis Centre, as was our gig in Bewley's. Because we just wanted to do it for a charity, and we're going to stick with that. It's a not-for-profit.
So am I right in thinking then that the show is, when I was thinking about the show, I was thinking that there would be places where people laugh and places where people are quite serious and thinking.
Yeah.
And are those lines drawn?
Well, I say it at the beginning of the show that you're going to find this not like your normal comedy show. It's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable, as can be a Saturday night out for a woman when you're standing at the bar, you've got all dressed up and you're with the girls, and then somebody turns around and goes, "Oi, nice tits." And you just have to recover from that.
Does that happen?
Happens.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not being a pretend
No, it's
idiot
good
here.
that you should ask. It's
No, I'm not, and I'm not being faux idiotic.
No.
I am actually genuinely asking. That actually happens.
yeah.
And so, just as a matter of interest, is the person that asked that question twisted drunk?
No.
They're just entitled.
What kind of fucking gall do they have?
Huge goal.
But like, that's kicking the nuts territory.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
it is.
stiletto
It is.
immediately in the nuts.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like we were speaking about experiences of the show, and I mean, worse than that has happened. You've been grabbed and groped and then told, well, don't have them on show. Like, truly, like that's, it's nearly, I'd hope that I wish they'd just say nice tits instead of putting their hands on you sometimes, but like these are the conversations we're having, and we just, because as you say, you're so shocked by it as a man, and
So when you say nice tits, is that in a bar?
Yeah.
yeah.
But not on the Lewis.
What hasn't happened to me on the Lewis? I don't
happened on
take
the
the
Lewis.
Lewis
No,
that often.
I'm just thinking that.
But why should it be more or less acceptable in a bar because alcohol is involved? Like, get a grip, man.
It's happened to me in work.
these
It's not
guys.
acceptable either way. I'm saying that people, guys, might think that they can get away with it for some reason.
Yeah, well, they do think they can get away with it, Mario. That's the thing.
Well-
And yeah.
But I'm pointing out the madness of it. They wouldn't say it on the Lewis then.
Oh, probably not. No, because
Yeah.
there'd be other women around. Gotcha. I see what you mean. They probably wouldn't. No, but you might get the old male gaze, Like,
Yeah.
It's very hard to stop that.
But I think there's this sort of, again, primordial, the primordial male brain is kicking in, right?
Yeah.
So we're all at a football match. There's 40,000 people at a football match. What are we there to do? Watch the match.
Yeah.
Who's watching the match? Us. Where? Together. Here. Ireland. What else do we do? We might have pints.
Yep.
Right? How are you, Mario? How are you? Why are you saying hello to me? We're at the match. You wouldn't say hello to me on the Lewis.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a funny kind of tribal thing going on here. So people
Yeah.
always come up to me at matches. How are you, Mario?
Yeah.
Selfie.
Yeah.
Right? Not on the Lewis. So for some reason we all think we're in this together. So the man in the bar thinks you are now in the bar because you are a legitimate target for me.
Exactly. You want something here.
You're here for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's me, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the majority of the time.
You want me to say nice tits, don't you?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do whatever God asks me to do.
Yeah.
Nice tits.
I do think sometimes when you're out and you're particularly night clubbing, it is a bit like, are you here on the pull? Are you in the meat market of it all where you're out?
Yeah.
So maybe there is something to that.
Oh no, there is.
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah,
it's
yeah.
completely wrong.
Yeah,
But like, this is what he is. This is what, unfortunately, he's thinking.
He is thinking.
Yeah.
Man is thinking.
Yeah, and I'm saying that's why I was
wants
talking about
me.
the primordial brain.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to be an awful raver, and I didn't drink or anything, which was really rare in the the noughties. So I didn't drink for 17 years. I didn't do any drugs or anything like that. So I'd be in clubs, and it was just it was like I was in my own world, viewing everything that was happening at the table in front of me, and the boundaries were just gone
Yeah.
with everybody, So I'd often be kind of minding people and women on those kind of scenarios, But you'd literally, I used to call it the El Kabong. I don't know if you remember El Kabong. He was a little cartoon character
do, yeah.
with a guitar,
Yeah.
and he'd whack people over the
Kabong.
Kabong. And I used to look at guys and they'd be drinking, and then I'd see that moment where the guitar had hit them over the head and they'd be out of it.
Yeah.
And I had a great time dating and
Yeah.
everything. Sure, I had whatever I wanted. But it's just different when you're kind of looking at it from that perspective. It's like literally watching wild animals.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, remember what I was saying about the sort of for want of a better person, much better person, the Andrew Tate thing.
We don't say his name.
Do you not?
No.
As in the show and stuff.
Ever.
Purposely.
Ever, yeah.
it
It's just
doesn't
not to
deserve
publicise it, yeah.
No, and the other fighter guy, we decided we'd...
Well, we were
Yeah, I
speaking.
know.
We were speaking
Yeah.
about this, that we never wanted to mention him. And
I see the point.
obviously for the publicity element, but secondly because this behaviour has been going on way longer
Forever.
than either of those men have been around. This is not a new thing. This is not. He's vocal about it, but the behaviour that he's vocalising is not new.
No, not new, but
It's a different system. He just has a different
Oh, I know it's
platform.
that. No, but there's something else going on though, and that is that it's being disseminated and it's being hosed
Popularized.
with a fire hose into the brains of pre-pubescent boys
Young men.
and pubescent boys and adolescent boys at the very moment that their
Prefrontal cortex is not
forming.
developing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they are then taking elements, if not all elements, then some elements. So, for example, I have had discussions with a young person about this, and the young person has told me, but like, all he's trying to do is say that the man is a protector.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right? So this is what's coming back.
yeah.
And I'm going, no, that's not, he's saying, first of all, he's saying he's an owner, which is obviously insane. And he's saying, okay, right, but, and he's then finding other things to defend. But he's talking about like being clean and working hard.
Well, he's using heroic terms in a space where there are no heroes. So there's no heroes at the moment. I'm like really struggling to find them. So it's been the perfect landscape for him to come in and do that. And the terminology, I think, is hero terminology. So the boys, the young guys, are looking to that, and the Jordan Petersons and whoever else it might be, and saying, well, the algorithm is sending it to me. It must need me. I must need that. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're accepting what they're being fed.
Accepting what they're being fed. And they don't realise it. And I'm beginning to hear this now. I said it to my husband. People are starting to talk about the algorithm as if it's part of their personality, which is really disturbing. They're actually saying things like, oh, my algorithm told me the other day, like it's your conscious and your subconscious and your ego. They're parts of your human brain and your functioning as a human, not your algorithm.
Yeah.
So they're starting, the tech companies are loving this. They're starting to pull in the terminology as if it's part of them. So it's a perfect space for it.
There was an interesting study done by the BBC actually that I saw on my algorithm. But it was about setting up a TikTok account as a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy. And within 30 minutes, you are fed that toxic masculinity content. And that's just random swiping. Like you're not liking anything, you're not doing anything, you're swiping for 30 minutes and that stuff will come onto your feed.
Because it knows you're a 14-year-old
Because it knows, yeah.
boy or whatever.
Yeah, so it's scary, but like, it's scary that they're getting the messaging that he's just a protector and he just wants, because I don't think they're fully understanding it. They couldn't.
No.
They couldn't if that's what they're taking from it.
But he is also not as popular as he used to be, I would think. And there's actually a lot of research showing that there's young teenagers now going against social media, that it's actually becoming a trend to not be on social media. I think we're seeing
and
a
agreed.
shift.
And the two people you're talking about, I've seen from the young person I was talking about, who's now growing older.
Yeah.
There's a reaction to them as well now.
Okay.
He's sort of going, like, words like, these guys are assholes.
Yeah, clowns.
So he's seeing through the
Messaging.
he's seeing through the facade, and he's seeing how ultimately they shoot themselves in the face by their actions every single day.
Yeah.
And so he sees how they destroy themselves over and over again by being ridiculous and by being insane. So as his logical brain gradually grows a bit more mature and bigger, he sees it. He's starting to see it more for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it isn't completely erased. In other words, some of it has stained.
Yeah. I know, and that's what our show hopes to do is we'd love more men to come to the show. We'd love, fathers and sons to come to the show, because we have female comedians who are doing their straight comedy with the angle of being a woman in today's society. Yeah. And they'll just be able to go, oh, right, what? What's that? They did what? What?
Yeah.
And just those tiny, subtle moments like what we've discussed here today, to be able to see that, on stage in a comedic way it's just a different tunnel to get it into them,
Definitely.
Way.
Because it's not preachy and it's not lectury. And it's not, I think when you're preachy or lectury in any way as a woman, you just become aggressive. That's what people say about women who have voices. So to come at it and go, we're not aggressive, we just want to laugh at this.
Yeah, they're grabby, ambitious and aggressive.
Yeah. Like, if we just want to laugh about it and talk about it in a light manner, it's a lot more digestible, a lot more accessible, I think.
Yeah. Good idea. Good idea. And a great name as well. Are you all right getting home? Because it's, well, if nothing else, it's a great name for the end of the show. What happens at the end of the show?
Yeah.
Exactly. When we say that, you'll be all right now, getting home, getting to the bar.
Yeah, we make that kind of joke.
How long is it?
Well, we have more time to play around with in the lark, but the whole show was an hour and a half, beginning to end, you know. But we've more sketches and skits that we might put into the next show as well.
Yeah. Sketches, yes.
Yeah.
And audience interaction?
Yeah,
how does that work?
Yeah, just like asking the odd question here or there, you know. Like,
how about getting the audience to take part in a sketch?
Well, we have done.
That would be good. Sit into this now. All you have to do is be the passenger.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be the taxi driver.
Yeah. Take a photo of your plate.
Yeah.
Send it to the girls on the WhatsApp channel.
Yeah. That's awful, isn't it? I do have so many
a collection of them.
Pictures of taxi men's plates in my car or in my phone. Yeah.
We send them to each other.
So you know when you get in a car, in a taxi, and somebody has their taxi licence at the front with their picture and their name?
Yes.
We all send that to each other.
Why?
This is the taxi I'm in. If anything is to happen.
Okay, sorry.
This is the man's
you
car
send
I'm
it
in.
as an alert.
Oftentimes, particularly if you're not using Uber or Free Now or whatever, and you're hailing one off the street, that is, okay, I can't even trace this on my phone. Oftentimes I've sent girls home in the taxi that we've hailed one off the street, and I've taken pictures of it on the way as she's driving off and going, okay, that's the reg, that's this.
Yeah, brilliant. Jeez.
But like,
But the mental effort, I call it the mental gymnastics. And like, you know, we're out having a good time.
After particularly a few Prosecco's, you're like, hang on. like, you know,
focus.
You can,
yeah, it certainly puts a different ring on a Joanna McNally's show anyway.
Yeah.
Just before she lays into your man.
Yeah.
She go, fuck it, I just have to take a fucking
photo
of the taxi.
Yeah.
It's just Joanne McNally, the dark side.
Yeah. But it's the reality of it. We've been doing this stuff for years. You know, it's not this for
it's
years.
Second nature. And like you've looked at us a couple of times today, Mario, going, what? You do what?
Yeah. Sorry, and that's not...
No, my husband did the same.
No, that's, I'm not. See, that's because it's. I'm not pretending.
I know.
I'm actually just admitting.
But you know what? Yeah. I'm nearly glad when men give us that reaction, because I'm like, we knew you didn't know, and that's why we want to talk about it.
Totally, we don't know.
But that's the thing, and that's why the show is important, because we want you to know, and we want to talk about these things and educate men.
Yeah.
So do you want those reactions?
Oh, I see it. Yeah. No, brilliant. There's nothing like comedy and people laughing at something at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's nothing kind of nicer than listening, being with people who are laughing.
I know.
Yeah.
And kind of glancing around and you see people's shoulders heaving.
I know.
And that innocent face we all make when we're laughing.
Yeah.
Where our mouths are open and our eyes are closed. So I mean, if you were an animal, right, and you wanted not to die, the face you would make is, and you wanted to die, the face you would make is this.
Same.
Your eyes closed and defenceless. Right? Any other animal could come up and go, hey, fuck, ow. So that's what happens when we laugh. We close our eyes and we open our mouths.
We become vulnerable.
And we become vulnerable because we are letting our guard down and we are enjoying hearing stories about our lives and our communities.
It's so good for you. Like,
and lots more research being done about that, of course, about how it elongates your life.
It's such a nice form of escapism. And be that for us or be that for the audience.
Yeah.
And like someone asked me before, why do you do it? Is it not like a form of self-flagellation? Is this not like torture? And I was like, no, it's such nice escapism. Life is hard. It's so hard. And it's so
Life is hard. I agree.
It's so nice to walk away and go, do you know what? I made that person laugh for 10 minutes.
Life is hard. Being working 10 hours a day in front of a screen and being let's say half bullied by other people for most of your life is hard.
yes.
You know, doing a 2-hour commute twice a day and shouting and roaring in a car is hard. Making people laugh is difficult, but it's not it's not unhealthy or unhappy.
Yeah.
It's a very happy thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, in my own case, people go, Jesus, how do you walk out there in front of people? And I go, listen, if 1,000 people have paid 40 quid to see me,
it's your duty.
do you not think I have the upper hand here?
Yeah.
I have all the cards.
Yes.
Right? I'm walking out and they're going, here he is! And I'm there, okay, I think I got you for one here.
Yeah.
You know, so like, there's nothing, you know, hard is walking in in front of 8 people and trying to make them laugh.
Yeah.
Because there's no dynamic.
Yes.
Well, exactly. That's really, really hard. Now, that's not to say that the 8 people won't like you. But even if they do like you, there might not be much evidence, noise evidence that they like you.
Yeah.
So they might be going, because I've seen people in my audiences, many of them, and so you always identify somebody who isn't laughing.
Oh, yeah, the one with the folded arms.
The one who's holding theirs on stern face, right?
Yeah.
And I've investigated this, right?
Oh, God.
And I've sometimes investigated and gone, that person was having one of the most best times in the crowd.
Yes.
Just the way they express themselves.
They do like the
Isn't.
exhale.
And they were listening.
The way they express themselves isn't to laugh out loud.
Yes.
Similarly, there are people going, and you go, they're sincerely asked afterwards, how was it? And they go, it's all right.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But the way they expressed themselves was laughing at everything.
That's true.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean they actually enjoyed it. So
Yes.
everybody's different.
Yeah.
So you two are enjoying your own comedy existence at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're both loving it.
Both loving it. It's
Yeah.
a lovely environment, a lovely atmosphere. There's great people out there, making new friends along the way.
And so how is the connection between the two of you? What happened? How did you meet each other and how did that come about?
Very new.
Still very new, yeah.
Tell us about that, Justin.
We met each other, like just in, as we say, the dusty basements of various comedy clubs around Dublin. We'd be often on the same lineup. We'd cross paths. We'd have a chat between sets. And we kind of bumped into each other a few times.
Yeah.
And Claire always brings jellies to a gig.
Mm-hmm.
So that made me immediately like her. You know, I was like, oh, okay. And then, yeah.
So she would give you jellies.
Oh, she'd bring them for everybody.
Are they Haribo?
Yeah.
They are.
Of course they are. Yeah, yeah.
They have to be.
Which is actually great. It was a little treat. No, that's not why I like you. When you mess up. But we just ended up chatting and
You hit it
about
off.
different things. And also, oftentimes you might be the only 2 women on the lineup. So it's nice to connect.
Yeah.
Although less and less now.
Less and less, maybe at the level we're at.
Do you guys know what this approximate percentage is at the moment?
Jesus.
Would you know?
Like if I was to think of 100 comedians, I'd say there might be 12 or 15.
Is that right?
Women.
Out of the 120 that we know, maybe
Is there?
there
Yeah.
might be 30, maybe 30 max.
Yeah.
So a quarter maybe maximum.
Maybe, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And roughly, I find on lineups that there be 5 people booked. One of them will be a woman. And the rest of them are men.
Does that strike you as tokenism?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think we're over that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone actually made that remark to me before.
With the token women on the lineup.
Recently.
Well, I'm just wondering, are some people thinking like that? So a guy is, let's say somebody, or let's say a group is trying to organise a comedy show, and it just so happens that they have a number of people in mind, and then they go, shit, no women.
I don't know.
Well, there's loads of people who are booking stuff and they don't think about that at all.
Yeah.
I booked quite a good gig recently and someone said to me, how did you get that? And you're only doing comedy 2 years. And they went, oh, I suppose it helps that you're a woman.
Yeah.
Also, I've been working really hard. But, so I think there's an element of that thought process within the community, but maybe not from a booker's end, but from the wider community a little bit.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay, so how long have you known each other?
Properly since before you went on your trip in February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only about 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so meeting backstage, meeting off stage,
Yeah.
jellies,
Jellies, yeah.
banter.
But you see, when you meet, you'll know this, Mario, when you meet at a comedy show and there's 5 or 6, whoever it is, you share really intimate stuff
You do.
really quickly.
You do, yeah.
You get to know people rapidly. And I might be on a lineup with, let's say Stephen that we both know. And then I'd see him maybe at 4 gigs in a row. And then I might not see him for 6 months again. Yeah. And then it's like, oh my God, and what happened to this and what happened to that? And we get really deep, really quick.
It's heightened reality.
It's heightened
and people are exposing themselves, and it's like being it's like the stories of people being at war with each other.
Yes.
When you hear stories of people being at war and they go, you get to know each other
Yeah,
pretty quickly.
Because
we are at war.
Is at war. Yeah. But I think
Okay, it's not. But I'm actually going to die on this hill.
Yes.
It's kind of like
I
war.
might die up there on
it's
stage
really
tonight.
vulnerable.
No, but it's kind of like war.
similar.
It's where it has similarities. Okay, nobody's
Yeah.
losing their lives.
No.
But you are putting it all on the line.
You're losing your dignity.
Yeah, it's dignity.
And you share personal stuff up on stage as well.
Yeah.
So, and then you'll come off stage and they'll go, was that true about your dad?
Yeah.
And I'll go, some of it. Most of it was actually.
Yeah,
he was a narcissist.
It is funny. I think when you're in that vulnerable mind space, you're like, I'm going to share this with a room of 60 people. So I'm already here sharing it with people that are backstage as well. You are in just a vulnerable place already.
Yeah. So.
I love sharing things with people. It depends on who you are as a person as well and what kind of background you have.
Yes.
It really depends on a lot of things, your upbringing, your personality.
Yeah.
You're present in relationships with people as well.
Yes.
So like I won't spend long on this, but I've come from a fairly unstable family background, and so I feel more and more comfortable sharing things about stuff when I get older because it's my story and I'm going to fucking own it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like, if that's the only thing I have, I'm going to bloody own it.
Yes.
So I'm going to be it's my right to tell anybody I want.
Yeah.
About my story.
Yes, and the narrator here.
Exactly. And I'm not going to just like fester over it and go, oh, I wonder, I can't talk about that because it's covering family problems and everything. No, get it out. So my best thing was to get it out there and share it with people. Yeah. And I felt much better after doing that. Justine, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
No, brilliant. And Claire.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Best of luck with the show.
Thank you very much.
And my thanks to Claire Roche and Justine Halpin for calling in and telling me about this very, very compelling issue and their great new show. And my thanks, of course, to Deluxe Bathrooms and deluxebathrooms.ie for their ongoing support. Summer Sizzler sale now on until June 29th, up to 70% off. And my thanks, of course, to you, the listener. Tell one other person about this podcast if you can. Get in touch with me, mariorosenstock@gmail.com. Until then, I will see you same time, same place next week.